لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As announced, inshallah ta'ala, we've got Shaykh Abdullahi with us from America. Inshallah ta'ala, I believe it doesn't need an introduction. So we'll go straight into the mawdu'. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, I'll open the floor for the Shaykh. We ask Allah tabarak ta'ala to make us of those that hear the reminder and benefit from it. Before we start, if I can ask the brothers to get close, inshallah ta'ala, because we seem to be spread out in the masjid. جزاكم الله خير. تفضل شيخنا.
طيب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Inshallah, we will make this a short lecture. This will be short and perhaps sweet. وَخَيْرُ الْكَلَامِ مَا قَلَّ وَدَلَّ. The best of speech is that which is small, but that which has evidence. Sweet and small, inshallah ta'ala. So we'll have a short night. And I'll start off with a story that one of the Shaikh mentioned. And that there was a taxi driver. He used to pick up people and take them from city to city. They call them kaddadeen, the taxi drivers that go from city to city. So one day, his customers were 3 young men. 3 or 4. I don't remember how much the number was, but it was 3 or 4. They came with this taxi driver. The taxi driver, when he used to drive, he used to put on Quran, a muhadara, something good. And whenever salat time used to come, this is obviously in a Muslim country, whenever salat time used to come in, he used to stop at the nearest gas station, stop for prayer, and pray. And he would encourage the customers to pray. So naturally, when Salat al-Dhuhr came in, he went into the gas station and he told the customers, let's go pray. The young guy who was sitting in shotgun, the passenger seat, he looked at the taxi driver and he said, pray. We don't pray. We don't pray. The taxi driver was shocked at the response by this young person. We don't pray. How can a Muslim emphatically say, we don't pray? How does he have the gall and audacity to say, we don't pray? Unthinkable, unimaginable. He was confused. So the young people, they're looking at him, and there was a silence. They got confused too, because he got confused. It's an awkward silence. So the man responded, what do you mean you don't pray? He thought he misheard him after a while, because it couldn't get into his mind. Usually people, all right, I'm going to go pray, and then he hides, or he does something, or spends extra time in the bathroom, uses his phone, he gets lazy. He goes around the bushes. But somebody to say, with no shame, he thought he misheard him. So he told him, what do you mean you don't pray? And the guy looked at him with a straight face. Listen, I don't pray. And I haven't prayed for 15 years. Go ahead and pray. We'll wait for you. So the man just looked at him and he just told him one word. He told him, why don't you try for the first time? Just try it out. Don't matter how long it's been. Come. So that word from that taxi driver hit him. Sometimes some speeches you hear, a little statement you hear, just rings in your brain, and you remember it throughout your life. It was one of those moments. It hit him. You don't know what it was, but it hit him. So he looked in the back and he's like, yo, what do you guys think? Should we just try it? Should we just go pray today? And they're like, hey, let's do it. So they went. They made wudu. So they had the taxi driver lead the prayer. And obviously they're traveling, they pray 2 rak'ahs. In the second rak'ah, in the last sujood, or at the end of the prayer, they made salams, but the guy who was sitting in passenger seat, who was speaking to the taxi driver, is still in sujood. So the taxi driver assumed this man hasn't prayed for a long time. Perhaps this is a form of repentance. He's crying. His sujood is it's like he's doing sujood for the first time. So he's still, he's still recovering. But then it turns into 30 seconds, a minute and a half. They start having shak. Then his body starts to fall over. And the man dies on the spot. It's a true story, real story. He dies on the spot. SubhanAllah, this guy was sinning for 15 years. And then he finally decided to pray. Because of a kalima, one single word, by a taxi driver he's a taxi driver and he's not no shaykh, he's not no alim. And he died in sujood, the most honorable death, or one of the most honorable deaths you can have. SubhanAllah. What this tells us, the importance of the people around us and what they tell you. What people tell you have an effect on you. No matter how strong you think you are, no matter how strong of a personality a person has, you're a human being. You're affected by your surroundings. And that is why the lecture that has been announced today was the challenges that youth go for, or the youth go through. We're not going to talk about the challenges, all right? The challenges are known. Every young person knows the challenges. But what is the solution? Allahu A'lam. One of the biggest challenges amongst the youth is bad environment and bad company. And the solution is to have good company, to have people around us that will encourage us to do khair, not people that will encourage us to do shar. And especially our virtual companionship. Today, virtual companionship is just as important, if not more important, than physical companionship. Before they used to say, as Adi ibn Zayd once said, عن المرء لا تسأل وأبصر قرينه فكل قرين بالمقارن يقتدي. Don't ask about a person, ask about his friend. For indeed, every single friend is only a carbon copy of his friend. It's a famous statement. You want to know about a person? Ask me who his friends are. I'll tell you who it is. This line of poetry is so great that the great lexicon al-Asma'i, Abdul Malik ibn Qurayb al-Asma'i, he once said, لم أرى بيتا قط أشبه بالسنة من قول عدي. I haven't seen a line of poetry very similar to a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ than this statement of Ali. This is what they used to say. Tell me who you are. You want me to tell me who your friends are? I'll tell you who you are. Today we say, show me your YouTube feed, your Instagram Explorer button, and your TikTok feed. I will tell you who you are. Those algorithms, there's a lot of truth to those algorithms. You are what you watch. You are who you engage in social media. You are who your companions on social media. The problem is, when we go on social media, what do we see? We see an array of people, a spectrum of people. All right? You have your close friends. You have your associates. You probably have your classmates, your co-workers. You have random people. And now all of these people have a piece of your life. You're watching what they do. You're seeing what they do. And it affects you. Before, you have to actually go and find the people. Now it's coming to you. So you have to be extra careful from before. And that is the one message that I'll give you guys. And that is, make sure your environment and your virtual environment is surrounded by khair only. Surrounded by khair. Don't be those people that follow everyone. You know how some people, their ratio is a little bit off? All right? Don't be one of those people. Follow certain people. If they want to follow you, let them follow you. Don't follow them back. You don't have to follow them back, even if they take it personally. Follow the people that you feel like you can benefit from. Hang out with the people that are better than you. Elite people hang around elite people. And how do you know somebody's elite? If you want to know somebody's elite, look at the topics they discuss. Low people, they discuss what? They always talk about others. Where did Fulan go? What did Fulan say? And that's all they got to say. They gossip and backbite. Average people, they talk about events. You see what happened here, and you see what happened there, and that game, and this war, and all that, and politics, and who was voted for president, right? That's all they talk about. It's okay if you talk about it every once in a while, but all the time, elite people discuss ideas. How can we get things done? How can we move this project? They discuss ideas. Find those people and make them a part of your life. There's a reason why the Prophet ﷺ, he said, as the by Abu Dawud and others, الْمَرْءُ عَلَى دِينِ خَلِيلِهِ فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِفُ. A person is upon the religion of his friend. We roughly and loosely just translate it very easily. But do we ever think about the statement, the actual words that the Prophet ﷺ used? He said, الْمَرْءُ عَلَى دِينِ خَلِيلِهِ. You will change your religion because of your friend. Not just your lifestyle, your entire religion. You'll become Christian, Jewish, something else because of your friend. That's how much of an impact he has on you. Even if you think this friend is miskeen, no, you start picking up the way he talks, the way he moves, his signature moves. You start picking it up. How many times have I seen brothers, they started a little trend and now everybody's using it. Everybody's saying this word or everybody's saying this, making this gesture, and everybody has an effect on you. Everybody is dangerous. Don't underestimate people. The Prophet ﷺ told us that animals have an effect on us. The Prophet ﷺ told us this, right? That al-ghilzatu wal-jafaf fil faddadin ahl al-wabar. That hardness and stiffness and harshness are from the people of camels and horses. Those who herd camels and horses and around them all the time, they tend to be harsh. And the people of goat and sheep tend to be lenient and soft. Imagine a human being, talking, walking human being. He could do profound things to us. All right? So a human being can have a huge influence on us, ikhwah, to the point that he might change his religion. فَلْيَنْظُرْ. Everybody should look into who they befriend. All right? If you're a basketball team, I know you guys don't play basketball here, but let's say you're a basketball team and you want to win the championship. All right? You have to choose the best players to go get that ring, right? You have to choose the best players. You can't just choose people that are not good. Same thing. If you want to go to Jannah, choose the best players in your life around you. All right? So you could get that ring in Jannah. So you can get that championship in Jannah. You have to have an elite surroundings. An elite surrounding. This is very important for the human being. And especially online. Don't underestimate online. How many people have we seen? I know one person. Before he got into social media and all this, mashallah, first line, Hafiz al-Quran, riwayatayn, right? Was a talib ilm, seeker of knowledge. Got into social media, the guy flipped 180 degrees. Because he started seeing this, started seeing these people. Oh, next thing you know, the guy's not even the person that we know. Completely different person. And I remember when he was starting out, people told him, listen, a lot of us who got affected by don't go into it. He still went into it. And look where he's at now. وَحَدِّثْ وَلَا حَرَجْ. There's so many stories like this. There's this concept on social media, right? It has an effect on us. Fear of missing out, FOMO. You have fear of missing out, so you do things, not that you have interest in it. You don't even have any interest in it. You don't even care about it. You don't find pleasure or anything in it, but you do it because other people are doing it. Because us human beings are weak. وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. A human being has been created as weak. So make sure the content that you absorb, the content that you watch, the content that you look at is something that is pure, something that is beneficial, something that is productive for you in this dunya and in the akhirah. All right? Now, what are some of the qualities? Some of the qualities of the people that we should hang around with. All right? One of the most important qualities of the people that we hang around with that they should have is great manners. Great manners. And manners does not start off by just smiling. Smiling is a big part of it, but it starts off from here. The heart. Starts off from the heart. You got to get rid of the diseases of the heart. Unfortunately, these kind of matters, we don't talk about it as much. The disease of the heart is plenty. What are some of the diseases of the heart? Al-hasad, envy. Al-kibr, arrogance. Right? Al-hiqd, hatred. We have to flush out these diseases from within ourselves. And it's not easy. You may just view this as something these are just words, but we all have this ingrained in us, and we have to flush it out. We have to look for these diseases, and we have to take it out from our hearts. These destroy everything. You might be the person who seeks knowledge the most, who does ibadah the most, but still has hasad and hiqd and has kibr, arrogance. This capitalistic society that we live in teaches you arrogance. Because it's all about you, individualism. It's about me. It teaches you to be selfish. And when you're selfish, you look down on others. You belittle others. You have a nice whip. You look at the other guy, he has a miskeen, Toyota Corolla. All right? You have a nice suit. This guy is miskeen. He's wearing a $5 shirt. You have some nice J's. You have some, $200 sandals or slippers. Right? This guy's wearing Abu Asharas. All right? 10 Riyal sandals. Right? Very materialistic. That's how we put people into boxes. We want to praise someone. Oh, that guy, he's up. We look at it from a materialistic perspective. So we look down on those that don't have anything. This goes against our deen. Al-kibru, batarul haqqi, wa ghamtun nasi, as the Prophet ﷺ told us, is rejecting the truth and belittling others. Looking others as lower than you. They say if you want to know whether you have kibr or not, look at yourself when you compare yourself to 4 people. 2 of them, very easy to be humble towards. The other 2, a little bit more difficult. Look at the person who's more knowledgeable than you. Are you humble towards them? Usually people are humble towards the one who is more knowledgeable. I don't know about it in this country. I don't know about that. But usually that's the case. Look at the person who's more ignorant than you. He doesn't know as much as you. He's not as smart as you. He's not as talented as you. How do you look towards them? And this could be in the deen. This could be on the court. This could be in school. This could be at work. It could be anywhere. How do you look towards them? Are you still humble towards them? Do you still respect them? Or do you belittle them? Or do you look at them as low? Even having that thought, oh, this guy's below me. I'm A1 and this guy's Z, as you guys like to say. Z. And I'm A1. You have to respect that person too. Because you may have something Allah bless you. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. Don't put down the creation of Allah because of it. The third one is somebody who's older than you. Naturally, people respect those that are older than us. All right? And the fourth person is somebody that is more ignorant than you. Somebody that is younger than you, excuse me. Somebody that's more younger than you still got to respect them. Don't little bro them. Don't say, oh, these are kids. Respect them. Why? They say because the younger one, you preceded him in sinning. So he's more honorable than you. The older one, he worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before you did. So he's more honorable than you. The more ignorant one, he doesn't have the same responsibilities that you will face on the day of judgment. You'll be asked, the more knowledge you get, you'll be asked about it. Al-Qur'an hujjatan laka wa alayk. Learning the Qur'an and its ulum and memorizing it could be for you and could be against you. It's a double-edged sword, right? And obviously the one who's more knowledgeable than you, that's very clear and known. So respect every single person. When you look at these 4 types of people, how do you look towards them? Do you respect them? Do you have any sense of belittlement? So you have to take out kibr. What led Iblis out of Jannah? What let him out of Jannah? Kibr, arrogance. They say it's the origin of all sins. They say the origin of all sins, according to Al-Hasan al-Basri, says al-kibr is one. Then al-hirs, and then al-hasad. Kibr is arrogance, and that's what expelled Iblis out of Jannah. Al-hirs is greed, and that's when Adam ate from the tree and it was expelled out of Jannah as well. And thirdly, it's hasad, envy, and each one leads to the other. Envy is the reason why Qabil killed Habil, because he was envious of him. Arrogance leads one to be greedy. He wants more, so he can be more arrogant. So if he's a millionaire, he wants to be a billionaire, so he can so he can be arrogant over the millionaires, and so on and so forth. If it's politics, the higher he goes, he belittles others below him. If it's knowledge, same thing. It leads to greed, and greed leads to envy, because then now when you see, if you're looking down at the one below you, you look at the one above you, what do you say? You start envying him. You can't reach him because he's more talented, he's smarter, he's this. You can't reach him, so what do? You start envying him. They're all connected. These are the origin of sins. And these are diseases of the heart that we inherit from our forefathers, right? Adam alayhi salam and his sons. We have to flush it out. So the first step to akhlaq is to taking out the diseases of the heart. And it's something that is very, very important. Because everything else is outward. This is inward. This is your project. Only you can know about it. بل الإنسان على نفسه بصيرة ولو ألقى معذرة. You know yourself the most, even if you make excuses. Right? So take out the diseases of the heart. That's the first step to having good akhlaq, or to having people who have good akhlaq. If you want to know somebody who has good manners, hang around him and look at his heart and how he reacts to certain things. All right? Second step to akhlaq is obviously smiling and helping others and so on and so forth. And that we don't need to go into that. Everybody knows that. All right? The second quality that is important, if you want to be around a person if you want to have elite companionship, is somebody who seeks knowledge, somebody who learns about the deen. And knowledge is very important, ikhwah, because knowledge protects you from the shaitan. Somebody asked last night, how can I protect myself from the traps of shaitan? The best way to protect yourself from the traps of shaitan is to pray your salawat, and secondly, to seek knowledge. The more you learn about your religion, the more you fortify yourself against shaitan. And that is why shaitan likes to promote ignorance. And that is why the more ignorant a community becomes, the more the shaitan plays a bigger role. The less knowledge is in a society or community, the more shaitan has a role. And that is why we call the time of shirk and the time of the Prophet ﷺ before he came, we call it the time of jahiliyyah, the time of ignorance. All right? And then Imam al-Qarafi rahimahullah, he says that the origin of all of sins is al-jahl, is ignorance. Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, he says, as narrated, he says, فَقِيهٌ وَاحِدٌ أَشَدُّ عَلَى الشَّيْطَانِ مِنْ أَلْفِ عَابِدٍ. That one scholar is stronger against shaitan from 1,000 worshippers. Not 1,000 guys on just regular Muslims. 1,000 first line avid worshippers. One scholar is strongest than shaitan. And that is why shaitan is terrified of knowledge. Obviously, knowledge by itself is not enough, but knowledge is a big way to take the shaitan away from you. So surround yourself with people who have knowledge. You know, ilm is something that it's a high value, high risk, high reward. High risk, high reward. Because the more you learn, the more you'll be held accountable. So you have no choice but to be sincere in your learning knowledge. But the reward is high in this dunya and in the akhirah. You protect yourself against shaitan, and you have a very good chance in the akhirah. That's why the closest people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the ulama. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. Those who truly fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, truly khashya, is the highest level of khawf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the scholars. There's a reason why. And the reason is because knowledge protects you from shaitan. It protects you from falling into mistakes. So I encourage every single person in here, do not remain ignorant. Why do you allow yourself to be ignorant of the deen? All right? And it all starts with establishing a connection with the Quran and learning the Arabic language. As long as you don't know the Arabic language, you'll be a tourist in this religion. You're a tourist, just like I am in this country. You're a tourist. You don't know what's going on. You don't know, you're looking at things in a different, you're a tourist. You'll be confused. You have to know Arabic. Arabic is a must. And the reason why many of the madhahib, they say that the khutbah Jum'ah has to be in Arabic so that it forces the Muslims to learn Arabic. There's a reason why. There's a hikmah behind it. Because if one doesn't know Arabic, he doesn't really truly understand the message of the Quran. He has to have intermediaries. He has to have a bunch of mediaries. He doesn't truly understand the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He doesn't truly understand the works of the scholars and the pious and the righteous. He doesn't. There's a hajiz, there's a barrier between him and the deen. He always has to have translators, interpreters. What happened when another religion used to have mediaries and the Bible was in a different language? What happened? We all know the history and what happened to that. So what's important is learning the Quran firstly and learning the Arabic language. Make it an effort. It's not very difficult. No matter how busy you are, you can pick up another language. All right? You can make time with the Quran. It might take 5 years, might take 10 years, no problem. All right? Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala, he spent 8 years, as narrated by Imam Malik, he spent 8 years on Surah Al-Baqarah. Take your time, but make sure it's consistent. أحب الأعمال إلى الله أدومه وإن قل. The most beloved actions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the most consistent, even if it's small. All right? So seeking knowledge, high risk, high reward, but you have to do it. And you have to surround yourself around people that are more knowledgeable than you. So that's the second quality of a person that you should look forward to hang around with. Number 3, that when we say hang around, we're talking about virtually and physically. Number 3, ilm by itself is useless. But ilm combined with amal is very important. You have to have ibadah, actions. You got to apply this ilm. It doesn't matter if you know what it is. That's just theory. But practically, did it have an effect on you? Any knowledge that doesn't increase you in iman, there's a problem. It doesn't translate to your spirituality increasing, it's a problem. Knowledge should translate to spirituality. Knowledge should translate for you to have more ibadah. And unfortunately, one of the issues that we see today is that many of the people who seek knowledge, I'm not going to say all of them, but many, you see, the more they learn, the less they become acquainted with ibadah. SubhanAllah. And you look into the first line of many masjids. You look at the people that usually fast Mondays and Thursdays. They're not people who usually seek knowledge. They aren't. It's unfortunate. When Imam Ahmad, a man came to him and he wanted to study under him and he slept over at his house. What happened? Imam Ahmad knocked on his door, last 1/3 of the night, boom, 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 boom. He put a bucket of water. He's expecting this guy to wake up, make wudu, pray qiyam al-layl. My man went to sleep. Imam Ahmad came back, Fajr, bucket is full. Guy is knocked out. He's in a different world. He woke him up, kicked him out of the house. He said, a student of knowledge who doesn't pray qiyam al-layl? Student of knowledge who doesn't pray the night prayer? Today we're lucky if the student of knowledge prays Fajr. Praise Fajr on time. Not praise Fajr at the masjid, praise Fajr on time. So amal is very important. Ilmun bila amal ka shajarin bila thamar. Knowledge without action is like a tree without fruits. وعالم بعلمه لم يعملا معذب من قبل عباد الوثن وكل من بغير علم يعمل أعماله مردودة لا تقبل والله أرجو المن بالإخلاص لكي يكون موجب الخلاص. A scholar who does not act upon his knowledge it will enter hellfire before the idolaters and the polytheists and the atheists and the secular and the liberals and everyone, every non-Muslim, the worst of non-Muslims, the most cruel of non-Muslims, who's going to enter hellfire before them? The scholar who spent his life in knowledge but didn't act upon it. It's very scary. So knowledge should translate into al-amal, very important. All right? Al-ibadah, al-ibadah, al-ibadah. One of our Shaikh used to say, a student of knowledge who doesn't pray the night prayer. We're not talking about the obligations. We're talking about the sunan, recommended acts. Student of knowledge who doesn't pray the night prayer and doesn't fast on Monday, Thursday, cannot be considered a student of knowledge. Those are the standards that they used to have, but the standards keep going low. You know, one of the signs of the Day of Judgment is that there will be many speakers. May Allah protect us from this. That there will be many speakers and very few scholars. As narrated by Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala. Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala, he says, سيأتي زمان كثير خطباؤه قليل فقهاؤه. A time will come where there will be many speakers. How many people do we see online now just speaking about the deen? So many. All you got to do is buy a nice fresh stove, you know, get a nice beard, you know what I'm saying? Put a library behind you and talk about great matters. Bam. Views. You know, refute someone, do this, you get views right away. That's how simple it is. Prophet ﷺ told us it's going to happen. كثير خطباءه. Many of them, they speak. قليل فقهاءه. Very few of them actually have knowledge. Very few of them could be considered scholars. العلم فيه خير من العمل. Knowledge is better than action at that time. SubhanAllah. This was said 1400 years ago. And we see it today. Iblis, he wants this. He wants this to happen. He wants to create a mirage, an illusion, right? Oh, rush to speak on the mic. Rush to speak on big matters. My guy, homie, doesn't even wake up for Fajr, bro. My guy don't even fast except in Ramadan. Forget about the night prayer. My guy has never given sadaqah because he don't even work. He's sleeping. All he does is talk. He's up all night speaking about others. And you don't go work in the morning. How can you give sadaqah if you don't work? You know? When the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the poor people of Medina, they complained. ذهب أهل الدثور بالأجور. The people who had money, they took all the ajr. يصلون كما نصلي. They pray like we pray. ويصومون كما نصوم. They fast, we fast. ويتصدقون ولا نتصدق. They give charity and we don't give charity. So the Prophet ﷺ told them to make some adhkar. But the news reached, right? The news reached. So they started doing this adhkar. So they complained to the Prophet ﷺ a second time. So what did the Prophet ﷺ say? ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. That is the fadl of Allah. He gives it to whom He wishes. So you strive to make some money so that you can provide for yourself and also to give sadaqah. Right? And this is what the Sahaba used to do. Umar ibn Khattab, one day he seeks knowledge of the Prophet ﷺ. He made a deal with his neighbor. Listen, one day I'm going to work. The other day you go to the Prophet. B day schedule. Right? They switch off. 4-3-3-4. 4 days. Right? And 3 days. And then the next week is 3 and 4 days. Every other day. One day he works. One day he seeks knowledge. Look, he's trying to take part in all of this ajr. But somebody who's not working, somebody who has a lot of free time to talk about all these grand matters, he doesn't seek knowledge and he's rushed to speak about matters. Watch out for that as well. Watch out for those type of people. Focus on yourself. Like we said, the heart, knowledge, actions, manners, learn. Don't settle for being second place. Don't settle for being ignorant. Don't settle for being bad-mannered and ill-mannered. Don't settle for being weak in ibadah. Aim for the high in every single category of the deen. Right? And especially knowledge because it's crucial during this time. And surround yourself with these type of people. These type of people, they exist. They're still khair in the ummah. They are scarce, but they still exist. You just got to go look for them. You have to hustle. At the very least, flush the people that are negative in your surroundings. All right? If you keep listening to nonsense, you'll become nonsense. If you keep watching nonsense, you'll become nonsense. Very important, ikhwa. But if you keep listening to something in which you learn knowledge, right? Like a dars, for example, or a clip that has a fa'idah, or even something that is motivational, or even something that gives you a skill in the dunya. It's still there's still some benefits in it. Focus on that, ikhwa. Environment is key. Environment gives us that man'a. It's that fortress alongside knowledge. It helps us move on. Because the insan, the human being, is social by default. Social by default. Some people obviously are very social. Even the asocial people, they have some type of social. They have to have others around them to perform well. It's something that is very, very important. And that is why if you look at one of the 4 greatest hadiths of Islam, as Abu Dawud, rahimahullah, Imam Ahmad, many of the esteemed hadith scholars mentions, if you look at one of these ahadith, which is probably one of the greatest ahadith that many scholars have started their books with, such as Imam al-Bukhari, and such as Imam al-Nawawi, such as Imam Abdullahi al-Maqdisi, and others, in Sahih al-Bukhari, and Arba'un Nawawiyya, and Umdat al-Ahkam, and Riyadh al-Salihin, and these great books, is the hadith of إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى. All actions are based off sincerity. All actions are based off sincerity. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى. Human being, he gets what he intends. Whatever your intentions are, you'll get. That's the ajr you'll get. Great hadith. Sincerity, that's not what we're talking about here. Sincerity is very important. It's a condition for anything to be accepted. Ilm, ibadah, anything. Hey, but nobody talks about the last part of the hadith. فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ومن كانت هجرته إلى دنيا يصيبها وامرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. Time out. One part of the hadith talks about niyyah. The other talks about al-hijrah. What do they have to do with each other? Isn't that a little bit random? There's a link, a strong link. Hijrah, when you leave an area, you migrate an area, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what are you essentially doing? You're improving your environment. You improving your environment will help you in becoming sincere, which is the asl of everything. Look at the importance of environment that it's mentioned in one of the 4 greatest hadith. To the point that you migrate. You leave that entire city. Leave that entire clique. Leave that entire block and go somewhere that is beneficial. There's a reason for it. It helps you become sincere. Helps you to seek knowledge. Helps you. We are human beings. We're weak. So we need to have, we're team players. We're not individual players. You know, just like they say, it's a team sport. It's a team. In life, you need a team around you. And that team will protect you. And that is why many people who fall off the road, many people who go astray, the reason is, one of the main reasons is peer pressure, associations. Even if they don't like to say, you know, some people, they have arrogance, they have pride. Nah, bro, who's going to influence me, man? I'm not impressionable. He's going to tell you that. But look at him, look who he's hanging around. He prefers to hang around these type of people. So, ikhwa, there's one thing I'd like to share with my brothers and sisters in Islam, is improve your surroundings physically and virtually, inshaAllah ta'ala. And you'll see yourself gradually become disciplined. You'll see yourself gradually become elite. You want to be elite, you got to be around elite people. And elite people, to be around them is not easy. You got to look for them. You got to hunt for them. And you got to know what's going on, right? But if you're around people that are your age, your level, or people that are lower than you, you'll stay stagnant. You won't move on in life. Look at people that are older than you, people more knowledgeable than you, people that have more experience than you. Be around them. Travel with them. Go with them. This will help you in your own life. في الدنيا وفي الآخرة. This is a concept اتفقت عليه البشرية. All of human beings, it's not just an Islamic concept. All humans, they say this. You are what your surroundings are. You are what the algorithms say. So let's start tonight by changing our algorithms. All right? If it means deleting your account and starting a new account on YouTube or whatever it is, then do it. If you can leave it all together, even better, even though most likely you're going to come back a couple days later. Because gradually leave things. Don't leave it one time because you're going to burn out. Right? But if you have to delete your account to start over, start over. It's only good for you. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
جزاكم الله خير وبارك الله فيكم أحسن الله إليكم. Inshallah ta'ala, we conclude there. We ask Allah tabarak wa ta'ala to reward the Shaykh. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to be from those who benefited from the talk and put it into implementation. Barakallahu feekum. Jazakum Allah khairan.